So today we're discussing an item that has been widely reported in the media space. A few days ago, the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is said to have sent a budget of 1.48 trillion naira to the National Assembly for Rivers State. This was reported by Punch newspaper, a widely reported newspaper in Nigeria. And this one was reported by Channels Television, a leading TV station in Nigeria. It says Tinubu sends 1.48 trillion 2025 Rivers budget to National Assembly for approval. Now, it begs the question, where does the president derive the power to send budgets to the National Assembly for a state of the federation? Is it in the constitution that the president of the country can send a budget proposal to the National Assembly for the benefit of a state? Is it any way found in the Constitution of Nigeria? Right? That's a question that lots of people are asking. So does the president have the power? Does the Constitution make any provision for the president to make laws, in this case appropriation bill, to the National Assembly for any state, be it during normal time or emergency time? Here is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who came into power 2 years ago. The answer to this question is no. Absolutely no. The Constitution does not give such powers to the president. If there is, please, somebody should show me. But I'm telling you as a student of the Constitution that there is no constitution, no section of the Constitution that has given the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria the power to make budget proposal for any state of the federation. It's unheard of, absolutely unheard of. And that's why I'm saying that there is no section of the Constitution that gives the president the power to make laws for a state of the federation. In this case, appropriation law. The president doesn't have that power. States are not governed by the president. That's the truth. So where does the president derive this power to send a budget proposal for Rivers State to the National Assembly? There is no such provision in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the closest in the Constitution is in Section 14 of the Constitution, which allows the National Assembly to take over the powers of the State House of Assembly in the event of an emergency, in the event that the State House of Assembly is unable to sit. Maybe there is an earthquake, maybe, God forbid, a plane crash and everybody died in the House of Assembly, and so the House of Assembly of that state is unable to sit. In that way, the law allows the National Assembly to take over the powers of the State House of Assembly. In this case, the National Assembly has already appointed a committee to take over the activities of the State House of Assembly in Rivers. The committee, they've met, we've seen on papers that they've met from time to time. So if there is anybody, any committee that should listen to the presentation of the budget for Rivers, it should be that committee that was set aside by the National Assembly for them to take charge of the activities of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Not the president, for God's sake. Not the president whatsoever. I dare say that there is no section of the Constitution that allows the president to send budgets to the National Assembly for any state of the federation. So it is the committee that was constituted by the National Assembly. Remember that the first person to constitute the committee was Tajuddin Abbas, that's the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. We thought that it was going to end there because I think there are up to 21 or 22. But before you know it, the Senate also constituted its committee for Rivers State, right? So members of the two houses in the National Assembly are supposed to be the ones to oversee the affairs, the legislative affairs in Rivers State. And if for any reason budget is to be presented, it should be presented to them, not to the National Assembly as a whole, and not to the president. This point must be well noted. No, not by the president at all, because no provision supports the president sending the budget to the National Assembly for the state. The president can only send budgets to the National Assembly for the Federation, not for any state of the Federation. We've also heard in the news that the president, right, has sent names to the National Assembly for confirmation of appointees for the Rivers Electoral Commission. If this is true, then this is another illegality. If it is true, it is another thing that is to be done without the backing of the Constitution. I thought we were practicing democracy, and we're also practicing constitutional democracy. Now, what's going on in Rivers State, all these things happening in Rivers State, in all of these, it begs the question, where does the president place Ibas? Ibas is a military officer, retired military officer that was appointed upon the declaration of the state of emergency, and he was asked to go and oversee the affairs of things in Rivers State, so he is the sole administrator. So when the president is still presenting the budgets, sending the budgets of Rivers State to the National Assembly for approval, even when Ibas is still the sole administrator overseeing the affairs of Rivers State, it begs the question, where does the president place Ibas? Where? Because let's even accept that Ibas is occupying Rivers State legally, right? In quotes. It is Ibas that is acting as the governor of Rivers State that should send budget to that select committee of the National Assembly for approval, not the president sending the budget of Rivers State to the National Assembly. I ask, will the president appear before the National Assembly to defend the budget? Because normally when you present the budget, when you forward it, you should be able to appear and then present the budget officially. I doubt if the president is going to do that, right? Note again that there is no provision for the president to take the budget of Rivers to the National Assembly. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you subscribe and share with your friends and loved ones so that together we can continue to grow this community of people sitting down informally to learn and understand law in the breaking news. Many thanks.